In life, there are so many things to enjoy, whether it's digging into your favourite locally made fresh fruit ice cream at Alice and Brome, listening to your favourite music, or considering the same fine art. Two people can tune their eardrums, taste buds, or their gaze into the same frequency. Maybe some things are simply better shared. But that definitely isn't true of all pastimes, despite what this wonderfully romantic day on the West Coast Riviera would have you think. The problem with mountain bikes and action sports in general is that not only do we have different trails, skill levels, dimensions, preferences, and perhaps even different deficiencies in certain techniques, but we can only fit one person on the bike at the same time, meaning that, at best, we're trying to approximate when comparing bikes, instead of being able to reflect on the same shared experience. Simply, two people can't ride the bike at the same time. Well, unless their name is Johan and Nate, the tandem mandem, and have a relationship with risk. Most of us simply don't. What you want to do when reviewing something is to nail down its character. You want to focus on what it does, how it behaves, and when, its tendencies. To do that, you ideally want to remove as many variables as possible. Here at QuarterHP, we're focusing on frames, meaning that all the other parts are coming from our partner brands. We also have partners for clothing and protection too, so we're comfortable and confident whilst riding. How do we decide on who we partner with? Well, our tastes are very simple. We're easily satisfied with the very best. Then, once we've controlled as many factors as possible, we want to give ourselves a bloody good talking to in the mirror and challenge ourselves to embrace and not ignore bias. Bias, of course, is nothing new in the review space. But the problem is not that reviews are subjective. For the record, all reviews are subjective. The problem is not being transparent with what your subjective tastes are. So we have me, an all-round cheeky chap and kind of okay rider, representing the needs of the enthusiast. But then what we need is somebody that could give any drop a dressing down, any berm a bloody nose, any corner well, he's just really, really good at cornering. Bloody hell, simmer down, that's unnecessary! I can think of few bikes better equipped to explore the subjective nature of testing than what we have here. But what does our true racer personally think about the geometry that has set so many reviewers' hearts at racing?
Okay, so here we have probably one of the favorite bikes of Donna and me. We're going over there. Wait, where are you going?
Racers obviously don't know what they're talking about. No. This is the Raaw Madonna, and it's your favourite reviewer's favourite bike. Mike Casimir, all-round lovely fella, absolute sweetheart and big dog at Pink Bike, was very impressed with the bike, and this is what he had to say. I'm convinced there's something special about the geometry recipe Raaw has cooked up. The low bottom bracket and tall front end make it almost impossible to have bad form on. Well, let's reserve judgment until we see me ride it. But he's not the only one. Enduro Mag was similarly impressed, and they said, "It's one of the best all-rounders, impressing above all with its strong suspension and harmonious blend of composure and agility. Ooh. To me, the Raaw doesn't so much represent progressive geometry as it does a tugboat, pulling an industry of larger, mass-producing brands towards the future of bike geometry." But that's the nature of subjectivity. Now, my needs definitely aren't the needs of a pro racer, and you wouldn't often find the geometry of the Raaw on a race-winning bike. But who's right? Are we trying to go as fast as possible in the face of fear, or laugh at the low-hanging fruit of geometry that's balanced and doesn't punish mistakes? Well, before we get to that, let me tell you why I, Henry Quinney, hand on the Bible, think this Raaw is something really, really, really special. Even if it's a bit heavy. Hell's teeth, that is some heft. Now, when you look at the Madonna, I know what you're thinking because I thought it too. It's a little bit metal, a bit broody, a bit darker. It's frozen 90s Madonna, but you couldn't be more wrong. It's far more sensitive than that, far more nuanced. It's far more joyous. No, this isn't frozen Madonna. This is like a prayer Madonna. But sit back, I'll take you there. This bike has a huge 664mm stack for a size large and quite a long rear end, but both combine to give you so much balance. It's half mountain bike, half skills coach, as it wills you to just hit turns, tech, just about anything harder than the last. Now, despite that length and that long wheelbase, it's got an ease of turning that belies what the geometry chart tells you. At 64 degrees, the head angle is middling to steep, but is remarkably settled. The suspension, which is a 4-bar, might have you thinking that it will behave quite typically like 4-bars do, often having quite a lot of ramp up or maybe a bit of end stroke that you find yourself bouncing off. But this absolutely isn't the case with the Raaw. It's far more sophisticated than that. But for such a conventional looking bike, how does it pack in so many attributes that we love? Under braking, it feels active, and only under really big hits does it seem like it's fighting the suspension. This is one area where chain feedback can come into play. It's a lot more neutral feeling than most 4-bars, and although I believe that most bikes are going to benefit from a drivetrain device of some sort, for the record, we're using E13's sidekick hubs, but also test with regular hubs, I would give this bike a rating of low to medium in regards to pedal feedback, and the suspension works very well in general. Sending it into corners, and it's more comfortable and more compliant than you would think it would be. So how is it doing all this? Well, let's look at that bridge on the stays, or lack thereof. I think this is a place that plays a key role in the compliance. The front of the bike is middle of the road in terms of stiffness, but the way the back breaks away and tracks is very impressive. The thing that I love most about the Raaw though, and the baseline love level for this bike is enough to prick John Paul Jones's ears, is the near modularity of dialing it in to suit your needs. Which leads me nicely onto the Raaw's party beast. For most riders, this bike will represent fantastic geometry, solid workmanship, and a no bullshit approach with large bearings, external cable routing, and with this one, even a raw finish, all wrapped up in a bike that, despite being massive and burly and capable, is actually a very efficient and comfortable climber, if you can forgive the weight. For the others, this could be viewed as a platform to build on. We're riding this bike in full 29, but you could swap out that bottom shock mount to then run a smaller wheel. Or should you want to stay with the larger wheels, you can change the mounts to reduce or increase the bottom bracket height by 3mm from center. You then have chainstay adjustment and a large straight gauge head tube that will let you tinker and play with angle sets or a reach adjust. All these options are going to prove popular, but I think the real star of the show are the two rocker links that let you choose, based on your own weight and rider style, the leverage on the shock. Now, what does that mean? Well, I much preferred the reduced leverage rocker, meaning that I could run a lower pressure in the shock. It made the bike feel much more balanced. I then improved it further, at least to my taste, by going to the 28 progression chip compared to the standard 25. This bike gives you test mule adjustability, but with a thoroughbred ride feel and quality. You know, this bike is like a cool uncle. 1 minute it'll buy you beers without telling your parents, and the next jumps over a table at a neighbourhood barbecue to knock out a love rival. It's incredibly easygoing in some ways, but that balance and the position it puts you in lets you push so hard, but doing so all while feeling very safe. All of the Raaw's credentials make it excel on more open terrain, and it can sometimes feel quite cumbersome on tighter sections, even if it still feels balanced. It feels like the North Star for the Raaw is confidence. It wills you to feel good about your riding. But is confidence the thing that we're all chasing? Let's touch base with our nameless, faceless, odorless wonder and see how fast he can get on our test track.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we have liftoff at 2:13.
Now, in a message I can endorse, Stiggy Smalls over there has this to say about the bike, which came through interpretive dance and I've distilled down to English. Simply put, our rider feels that this is an exceptional bike when riding exceptional terrain, but that it does come undone slightly on tighter, flatter, or less rewarding trails. That might be no bad thing, and riders who seek confidence would have a reliable partner in the Raaw. However, racers looking for the fastest race bike on a wide variety of tracks might find themselves giving something up over the course of a season once you throw in some tight sections, some slow speed jank, or a trail where gravity isn't necessarily quite on your side. So, is this the best mountain bike ever? Well, from the look of our timing sheet, yes, the evidence points in a certain direction. Or is it undoubtedly a fantastic bike, most loved by people who happen to create, contribute, and dare I say control the narrative of bike geometry through the media? What you need then is not to believe in some objective perfect bike, but rather find the tester you most align with and follow their work with keen interest. Whether it's bikes or music or ice cream, tastes do vary, and that's okay. For my taste though, this bike inspires confidence and comfort in a package with very few compromises, not least because it's hyper adjustable, and that's just fine by me. Now, if in your subjective experience of this video, it was just fine or even better, make sure to catch up on all upcoming content by subscribing to QuarterHP. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.